So, gotta get this out. This is weird. It's a weird day. So, this is just a theory. I'm not gonna sit up here and pronounce like I know this to be true. It's just a weird series of events that just transpired um this morning that has me putting this out here. I just don't really know if many people get this. But I was looking up the drug interactions between vitamin C and B12, and because I had this idea of how I'm gonna do my vitamin C intake in the mornings and stuff like that, and I should be taking my B12 with my vitamin C, and then I found out that I shouldn't actually be taking those two things together. They have an interaction with something called, wow, my internet is really acting crazy today or right now. Let me switch over to another source. There we go. Now it seems to be working. But anyways, so wow, what the hell just happened to my background? So many things happening today. Let's try to see if we can fix that. Hold on one second. Uh, anyways, so I was looking up that the drug interactions between vitamin C and B12, and then I stumbled across this thing that said that it had an effect on what's called nasal cilial ciliary cilial nasal beating. And I was like, what the hell is cilial beating? Um, and went in there and it basically said that the two had a negative of, or B12, an overdose of B12 had an effect on that. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I looked it up, and basically the lining of your um, respiratory system is basically covered in these little cilia, basically the same tail end of semen, but these little cilia that flap and beat in sync. And the beating of the cilia, there's a mucus layer on top. The beating of the cilia basically creates like a wave or motion to the mucus that's above it. So it basically allows for any sort of settled debris in your trachea or in your respiratory system to be removed, right? It allows for that to be cleared so that those potentially infectious items don't sit up there and stay in your system. Then I had a situation. I'm just going to go ahead and tell the story. I just ordered some Wendy's and I put on a paper napkin, obviously, to wipe the drink that was overspilled in the lid. Then I was like, wow. And I just held it still. Normally I wipe, and normally you wipe. I just held it still and I was looking at the capillary action. It's like, wow. So a dry piece of paper has a replenishable mechanical potential energy, right? Obviously, it has potential energy because it can be burned, and it can be given potential energy if it's obviously elevated, but inherent to itself, it has mechanical potential energy and a renewable source of potential energy. So if you put down a piece of paper on in a wet environment or near a droplet and to have it touch the droplet, then the capillary action is actually sucking up that material. There's a suction force applied to it, right? Now I have to look in more of what the capillary action actually is causing that, right? Whether it's the surface tension of whatever the liquid, or does it have to do with any sort of structure within the actual material itself to make it more or less absorbent? I'm sure there are factors that are involved there, especially when you talk about microfiber towels and whatnot. But oh, we're back to the same old bullshit. Wow. I guess we're gonna have a blacked out thing today. But anyways, so I was thinking to myself, well, what if gravity is the exact same thing? What if gravity is just an ethereal capillary action? I'm not gonna keep on doing this little thing with this what you got, but what if it's just an ethereal capillary action? What if, you know, matter being set in a medium, and light has to be transmitted through a medium, right? Electromagnetic propagation of those waves has to be waving in a medium. It doesn't wave in empty space. Um, there is a medium, in my opinion, and that medium is ether. But you know, trying to fudge the numbers so that doesn't actually happen is what all modern physics is about. But what if gravity is just simply an ethereal action? What if it's just you are a fomite, or you are a, you know, a wave rider on the mucus, and whatever the capillary action that's transpiring between matter and ether being sucked into matter, right? Which would make sense, right? Um, Let me go here. So, what if you're just riding that wave? What if you're just a person being sucked um, into that larger process, right? So, if you would think about it from a three-dimensional perspective, and let's say you had a huge paper towel in water, and there was a barrier between that paper towel and the water, and it was a spherical structure, and you release the barrier between the water and the actual paper towel, and then all of a sudden there would be a suction force in the same sort of um, means of gravity, or in the same unidirectional or omnidirectional force inward, would be the same effect if you were to just release that barrier automatically with that paper towel being submerged in water. And so, what if that's the actual effect that gravity has? What if that is gravity? That suction, capillary suction force, right? Um, Ether does have another explanation or another sort of use case, right? So, or it does explain something. Um, doesn't explain where it comes from, but it, you know, the whole idea that the only perpetual motion device or machine in the world is technically an atom, or an electron, more specifically, or the mechanism by which an electron spins around an atom, that technically is a perpetual motion machine, unless you account for some sort of granting of external energy to that system. And so ether does sort of explain how that perpetual motion machine is continuously moving. Um, but yeah, so my question, my theory, my thought process is, what if gravity is just an ethereal capillary suction force? What if it's just that? All right, maybe that explains it. I don't know. Putting it out there. I want to put it out there